How big can an airplane get? Meet the giants of aviation. Seriously, how do they even stay in the air? Just like your likes under this video, perfectly. Get comfortable, we're taking off. The AN-225 Maria was once the largest and heaviest cargo aircraft in the world. Sadly, the keyword here is was. Only one of the two planned planes was ever completed and flown. And on February 25, 2022, it was destroyed during the battle for Antonov Airport. Now we can only recall its amazing capabilities. It transported trams, power stations, and even giraffes. It carried a record payload of 253.8 tons. When needed, it can accommodate up to 88 people on its second deck to accompany the cargo. The Maria's size was equally impressive, 84 meters long with a wingspan of 88.4 meters, almost as tall as the Statue of Liberty, including its pedestal and foundation. The Stratolaunch Model 351 holds a notable record. It has the longest wingspan in aviation history, measuring 117.3 meters. If stood on its side, it'd be taller than Notre Dame de Paris. This giant has a big mission, serving as a carrier aircraft for space rocket launches. The Stratolaunch Model 351 will carry rockets between its twin fuselages and lift them to about 10 kilometers, replacing a rocket's first stage. This allows launches without needing ground-based spaceports. The aircraft's payload capacity is impressive, 250 tons. However, only one has been built so far, though developers plan to make 5 more. The Airbus Beluga XL completed its first operational flight in 2020. In just a few years, it's captured the hearts of many aviation enthusiasts. Behind its design lies a development program that cost over $1 billion. It boasts a payload capacity of 53 tons and a length of 63 meters. Even a chain of 10 real beluga whales would be shorter than this giant. It's no surprise that the Beluga XL is considered one of the largest cargo planes in the world. Its main cargo bay is so spacious that it can accommodate a vertical stabilizer from an A380. It also has room for massive cargo, such as 2 A350XWB wings or a fuel tank for a spacecraft. Currently, 6 Beluga XL aircraft are in operation, and as a bonus, they're all capable of running on SAF, an eco-friendly aviation fuel produced without fossil-based raw materials. In the global competition for cargo capacity among serially produced aircraft, the Lockheed C-5 Galaxy secured the bronze medal. Only the AN-225 and AN-124 managed to surpass it. This American aircraft is so spacious that it can transport 6 Apache helicopters, or up to 345 soldiers and officers. Its primary role is as a military transport aircraft. However, there's also the civilian L500 version and the C-5C variant designed for NASA. In total, 131 units were produced under different designations, and they're all absolutely massive. The aircraft feels especially monstrous and loud when it soars overhead. Remember when we talked about the destruction of the AN-225 Maria? After that unfortunate incident, the Airbus A380 took over as the world's largest aircraft. Although its production has ceased, Airbus assures us that these remarkable planes will keep flying for many decades to come. Just how roomy and massive is the A380? The A380-800 model can accommodate up to 525 passengers across 3 classes and 2 decks. Size-wise, the plane stretches 73 meters in length and has a wingspan of roughly 80 meters. Traveling on this giant is quite pleasant thanks to its incredibly spacious cabin, the largest of any passenger aircraft. It's no surprise that some A380s have been specially designed for private clients, including a member of the Saudi royal family. The Aerospace Line Super Guppy is another tireless workhorse. NASA trusted it to move parts for the Artemis lunar mission, which makes sense, given its origins and looks are tied to space exploration. In the 1960s, the US needed a huge transport aircraft capable of carrying parts for the Saturn rocket program. The first solution was the Pregnant Guppy, based on the Boeing C-97. Then came the Super Guppy, even bigger with a hinged nose. Out of the 5 ever built, 4 are now retired, but 1 is still flying for NASA. In space exploration, having a payload capacity of 24.5 tons and the ability to carry oversized cargo up to 3,219 kilometers is a big deal. Early in March, a couple of Boeing B-52 Stratofortress bombers made a first-time appearance over Finland, dropping some bombs. Don't worry, it was just a training exercise, and a great reason to include the B-52 in today's list. Boeing calls it the most combat-ready strategic bomber in the US fleet, and it's hard to disagree. The B-52 can carry over 30 tons of weapons. It takes a crew of 5 to operate: a commander, a pilot, a radar operator, a navigator, and an electronic warfare officer. This aircraft stretches 49 meters long and has a wingspan of over 56 meters. But it's not just its size that's impressive. The B-52 is the largest aircraft to ever shoot down another plane. It's also one of the few military aircraft that have remained in continuous service for over 50 years. The Antonov An-124 is so remarkable that it set 7 world records in one flight. That flight took it from Australia to the South Pole, then to the North Pole, and back to Australia. Let us know if you'd like a special video about it. For now, here are some amazing facts about the An-124. Its production involved over 100 Soviet enterprises. If you stood an An-124-100 on its end, it'd be taller than the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. And its lifting capacity was an incredible 120 tons. It's no surprise that it's used for some of the most unusual transport jobs, like hauling locomotives. The Boeing 747 Dreamlifter has a very specific job, transporting parts for the Boeing 787, and it does this incredibly efficiently. Previously, wings shipped from Japan would take about a month to reach their destination by sea. Now, the Dreamlifter delivers them in just 8 hours. The plane is flown by a crew of only 2, which is impressive given the size of the aircraft and its task. Imagine you and a friend piloting a cargo aircraft as long as 6 bosses and as tall as the White House. And there are only 4 Dreamlifters in the world. That's a big responsibility. Its massive cargo hold has a volume of 1,840 cubic meters. Despite its unique hump-backed design, it can still cruise at a speed of 878 kilometers per hour. The name of the ground effect vehicle KM stands for Model Ship. However, many publications refer to it by a much more dramatic name, the Caspian Sea Monster, and with good reason. How else would you describe such a huge beast measuring 92 meters in length and with a wingspan exceeding 37 meters? During its test phase, the KM was spotted by an American satellite, and the image, published in Time magazine, sparked worldwide discussions. Unfortunately, its story never progressed beyond a single experimental unit. However, its technical specifications are well documented. The KM could skim over water at speeds of up to 500 km per hour and was designed to carry up to 304 tons of cargo. Sadly, its journey ended on a tragic note. A piloting error led to an accident, and the aircraft, left without assistance, remained afloat for about a week before sinking. The story of the 295 MS is packed with remarkable facts. For one, it's the only mass-produced bomber and missile carrier in the world that uses turboprop engines. On top of that, it's the fastest aircraft of its kind, reaching speeds of 830 km per hour. The 295 MS also has 4 impressive engines, which together produce 60,000 horsepower. This aircraft is a true giant, measuring 49 meters in length with a wingspan of about 50 meters. The 295 MS even holds the world record for flight range, covering 30,000 kilometers with refueling. In 1965, the An-22 Anti made its first flight, becoming the world's largest turboprop military transport aircraft. It stretches over 57 meters in length and is so tall that it stands higher than a 4-story building. The An-22 was built to transport heavy equipment, which is why it can carry a massive payload of 80 tons. It can also accommodate 150 paratroopers. One of its notable features is the 7-strut landing gear that allows it to take off and land on rough, unpaved airfields. Here's a fun fact. The civilian version of the Mi-26 turned 40 this year. But don't let its age fool you. Experts say it's still got plenty of life left. In fact, it holds the world record for lift capacity among all mass-produced heavy transport helicopters, and is the largest of its kind ever made. The Mi-26 is about 40 meters long, with a main rotor diameter of 32 meters, too big to fit even on 2 tennis courts, and its capabilities are just as impressive. In a medical evacuation setup, it can carry 60 stretcher patients. For firefighting, it can hold a massive 15,000 liters of water. In 1936, the French government wanted to use flying boats for transatlantic routes, leading to the development of the Latécoère 631. Although only 11 units were ever built, its specifications were remarkable. The Latécoère 631 could carry up to 46 passengers in comfort. With a length of 43.5 meters, the aircraft had a passenger cabin that was 35 meters long and 4 meters wide. It featured restrooms, private sleeping quarters for every passenger, a restaurant with 2 dining rooms, and 7 double cabins for distinguished guests. The crew could transport passengers over distances of up to 6,035 kilometers. Over 6 decades have passed since the Boeing CH-47 Chinook first took to the skies. Yet, this helicopter remains active in the US and over 20 other countries, from Canada to Japan. And there are good reasons for that. First, although the CH-47 Chinook was initially designed as a military transport helicopter, it also has civilian versions. Second, it can handle some surprising loads, like a boat full of Marines or even another helicopter. Third, the CH-47 Chinook comes in many versions, including models with aerial refueling and paratrooper deployment systems. Lastly, during the evacuation of Vietnamese refugees, the CH-47 Chinook set a remarkable record by carrying 147 people along with their belongings. In about 5 years, the US aims to sell supersonic passenger tickets once again. This makes it a great time to remember the Concorde. This British-French aircraft made its last flight in 2003, but it still sparks lively discussions in aviation circles. Yes, the tickets were pricey, starting around $10,000 by today's value, but the plane actually set a world record on the London to New York route that it completed in just 2 hours 52 minutes and 59 seconds. That's much better than several hours on a regular plane. The Concorde could reach speeds of up to 2,330 km per hour. Over its 27-year service, it carried over 3 million passengers, including British traveller Fred Finn, who flew on it 718 times. In 1967, the US military needed a helicopter that could carry nearly twice as much as the Sikorsky CH-53, which was then in service. Engineers got to work and made so many upgrades to the CH-53 that they ended up creating the largest American helicopter. The new Sikorsky CH-53E is longer than a basketball court, and its rotor, now with an extra 7th blade, covers an area of 460 square meters. The CH-53E can carry 55 soldiers, compared to the CH-53's 38, and can lift up to 16.3 tons on its external sling. The Sikorsky Ilya Muromets made history as the first mass-produced multi-engine bomber and the first passenger aircraft. Initially designed for civilian use, it successfully carried 16 passengers during a test flight. However, with the start of World War I, it was converted into a bomber and used for reconnaissance. By today's standards, this aircraft might seem modest. The IMB version was only 19 meters long, and the IME-1 version flew at just 130 kilometers per hour. But at the time, it was a sensation. When it flew over St. Petersburg, traffic stopped as people admired this triumph of Russian aviation. An opera about Igor Sikorsky was even staged in honor of its designer. The Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey is the world's only mass-produced tilt rotor. It combines the capabilities of both an airplane and a helicopter, making it highly valued by the military. The MV-22, for instance, can fly at speeds of up to 565 km per hour. It can take off and land vertically, and its fuselage, about the length of 1.5 buses, can carry several dozen paratroopers. This engineering marvel is the result of over 30 years of development. So far, more than 400 Bell Boeing V-22 Ospreys have been produced, serving in various roles such as transport, search and rescue, and other missions, depending on the modification. The Boeing 747 is so big that in the movie Flight Plan, the main character struggles to find her kidnapped daughter, even though she knows the plane inside out. As the first long-haul passenger jet with 2 decks, the 747-8 is impressive, stretching over 76 meters in length. It can carry 581 passengers, which is enough to transport the entire population of the Vatican City in one go. Additionally, the Boeing 747 in its VC-25A configuration is famously known as the Air Force One, the aircraft used by the President of the United States. In the early 20th century, Count Ferdinand von Zeppelin pioneered the development of rigid airships. His work was so influential that the word Zeppelin became synonymous with airship. The first commercial flights of his creations began in 1910, and over the next 4 years, these airships transported more than 10,000 passengers. Today, Zeppelin Luftschiffttechnik continues to produce airships, specifically the Zeppelin NT series. While they may not match the scale of the Hindenburg, their 75-meter length is still impressive. The Zeppelin NT has a range of 900 kilometers. If the Zeppelin NT represents tradition, the Aeroscraft is the future. This technological marvel aims to combine the best features of a helicopter, a turboprop plane, and an airship. In its Aeroscraft ML866 configuration, it's longer than 2 Boeing 747s put together. The project is focused on cargo transport, with the airship capable of lifting 66 tons and traveling distances of around 4,990 kilometers. To control its lift, the Aeroscraft uses the COSH system, which compresses helium into special chambers, similar to a submarine's ballast system. The Boeing Phantom Eye is an innovative and impressive drone. Developed at the request of the US military, it unfortunately never went beyond a single prototype, which is now in a museum. The idea was for the Boeing Phantom Eye to serve as a high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft powered by hydrogen fuel. This would have allowed it to stay in the air for about 4 days, with a cruising speed of 278 km per hour. Its size is also notable, with a wingspan of 46 meters. The MIL V-12 holds the title of the heaviest helicopter ever built in aviation history. Weighing 69 tons when empty, it set several records, including lifting 40 tons to an altitude of 2,250 meters, which is a record that still stands today. This giant, measuring 37 meters in length, was designed to transport intercontinental ballistic missile components, but had enough space to carry 196 passengers if needed. Only 2 of these helicopters were ever built. By the time the Mi-12 was introduced, the world was rapidly changing. Satellites were becoming more prevalent, and missile forces were adopting new strategies. After testing, the MIL V-12 was deemed excessive even for military needs. Fortunately, both units have been preserved and are now on display at the Central Air Force Museum in Russia. The Airbus A400M is a military transport turboprop aircraft known for its ability to move oversized cargo. It can carry up to 37 tons, providing enough space for 6 Land Rover vehicles, 2 AH-64 Apache helicopters, or a Roland missile system. Additionally, the Airbus A400M can transport up to 120 paratroopers. It's capable of operating on unpaved runways, and it uses sustainable aviation fuel. The aircraft is impressive in size, measuring over 45 meters in length and standing as tall as the Arch of Titus in Rome. We could talk for hours about the Tu-160, but we'll give a quick summary instead. First, it's the largest supersonic aircraft in the world with variable sweep wings. Second, it's the heaviest combat aircraft on the planet, weighing 110 tons when empty. Despite its massive size, it moves with remarkable grace, earning it the nickname White Swan. Its sleek design and white paintwork indeed remind us of this bird. Over 40 world records have been set aboard the Tu-160, making it not only a legend in the skies, but also a symbol of aviation history. It has even appeared on commemorative silver coins, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Tupolev Design Bureau. Hercules was a legendary hero in mythology, but the Lockheed C-130 Hercules is a real hero. It's the most widely used military transport aircraft in the world. In its C-130J variant, it boasts a length of approximately 30 meters and a wingspan of 40.5 meters. Collectively, C-130J aircraft have logged over 3 million flight hours. As of 2019, more than 2,500 Hercules of various versions were in service worldwide. They've been used for a wide range of missions, from meteorological research to psychological operations. The Hercules also holds the record for being the largest and heaviest aircraft ever to take off and land on an aircraft carrier. The S-64 Sky Crane took its first flight in 1962 and has since proven its worth in many ways. At the very least, this helicopter has set a few records, including the highest horizontal flight altitude of 11 kilometers. It has also played a key role in fighting wildfires. An optional 10,000-liter water tank can be installed, which fills up in just 45 seconds. Of course, the Sky Crane is also well equipped for heavy lifting. The S-64E modification has a payload capacity of 9.1 tons. Enough to hoist elements of television towers into the sky. The S-64 Sky Crane's legacy continues to this day, spanning over 60 years. The American company Ericsson has plans to make an upgraded version with optional piloting capabilities and offer it to both civilian and military buyers. The Boeing C-17 Globemaster III has secured its place among the giants of aviation. This military transport aircraft is designed for moving personnel and cargo, but its adaptability sets it apart. The Globemaster III can operate from airfields where jet aircraft were previously prohibited and can take off and land on relatively short runways, just 1,067 meters long. This is impressive for a 52-meter-long aircraft that can carry up to 77.5 tons. Some examples of its cargo capacity include 102 soldiers, 3 AH-64 Apache helicopters, or an M1 Abrams tank. The North American XB-70 Valkyrie was an extraordinary strategic bomber that met an unfortunate end. Capable of flying at 3,675 km per hour, it was grounded when the US military shifted its focus to intercontinental ballistic missiles. As a result, only 2 prototypes were built, and just one remains today. Despite this, it holds the title of the fastest bomber in history. Even now, over 60 years after its first flight, it still looks impressive. This striking aircraft, approximately 60 meters long and weighing as much as 19 elephants, is a symbol of a bygone era.